Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We have to look after our neighbors. It is very, very important. If your neighbor is not happy with you and some of your habits are teasing your neighbor, then you must understand the door of paradise will be closed for you. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that we have three types of neighbor. So one type of neighbor is that one who is non-Muslim, and according to the rules regulations, we have only one right and responsibilities to deal with that type of neighbor who is non-Muslim. We have to look after that person or that family of that one, and we have to, if those people they are ill or trouble or problem, we have to help them, and we have to assist them as much as we can. And if they have need some type of some money or some resources which we have, then we have to give them. And if they are in trouble and problem, and we should go to give them some patience and some tolerance and some type of encouragement. And if they have some happiness or good thing, then we should encourage them and we should congratulate them, but that must be under Sharia. This is very important. We have to look after our Sharia limits, because after all we are Muslim people. We have to look after that under Sharia. We have to respect him, give happiness at the time of celebration what the person is doing. If that is under Sharia, we have to do that. But we have to keep in our mind that the neighbor, he should not feel anything bad from us. So this is the first type of neighbor to whom we have only one right and responsibility, with which is regarding neighborhood. And then the next type of person who is our neighbor, so that person is a Muslim. So if our neighbor is Muslim, so then we have two rights and responsibilities. Like we have one right and responsibility is regarding neighborhood, and second right and responsibility regarding Islam, because according to Islam, that is a Muslim, we should look after him according to Islam, and also we should look after him according to neighborhood. So we have two responsibilities there. And same like if we have the third neighbor who is our relative also and Muslim also, and that one is neighbor also. So it means we have now three responsibilities, three rights and responsibilities with that person, because that person is one responsibility, a right and responsibility regarding the neighborhood, second right and responsibilities regarding Islam, because he is a Muslim person, Muslim family, and the third responsibility, that is our relative. So we have the other responsibility due to relationship. So this way we have to look after that person. So these are the three types of neighbors, and we have to look and understand responsibilities and rights, so that we have to fulfill them, and at the day of judgment we should have a good face before Allah. If you look at Surah Nisa ayat number 36, Allah said, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Wa'budullaha wa la tushriku به شيئا وبالوالدين إحسانا وبذي القربى واليتامى والمساكين والجار ذي القربى والجار الجنب والصاحب الجنب. So here in this ayat Allah told us about the neighbor, and also Allah told us wabizil kurba, the rights and responsibilities with respect to the relationship or relatives, and right and responsibilities wal jari zil kurba, if your neighbor is your relative, wal jaril junubi, if your neighbor is not your relative. So Allah told in this ayat. So we then Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he explained each everything about it. So we have to follow that one. Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Jibril alayhi salam, he came to me and he was telling me about the neighborhood, and he was saying as much as that I was feeling that neighbor will get the share from the properties, so inherited from inheritance. So that was so much he told Jibril alayhi salam, he told to Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It means neighbor is neighbor person has so much rights and responsibilities we have to look after. And other hadith, Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a person who believes in Allah and in the last day, so that person must have respect and regard of the neighbor. And in other hadith, Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also said, a person is not a believer unless his neighbor is not safe from the mischiefs of that person. So this is very important. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also said in other hadith, at the day of judgment, the first two people who will be before Allah, they will be the neighbors who were having dispute. And in other hadith, Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, so you are not allowed to place your stone on the stone of your neighbor. So it means if the something of your neighbor is lying on the floor or anywhere, so you are not allowed to place some of your thing on that one. So it will hurt your neighbor, but Allah and Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam dislike that you have to hurt the neighbor. And Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one person said to Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that a woman who keeps on fasting in the daytime and at night she become busy in prayer or salah, so but the neighbor is not safe from the trouble of that woman, and she teases the neighbor. And what is your Islamic review about this situation? Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the place of that woman is hell. So hellfire is the place of that woman, because look, she is not to look after the neighbor. She is just to tease like different way. So this way is even she is spending her day in fasting and spending night in salah, but is not fulfilling the rights and responsibilities of neighborhood. So this way her place will be in the hellfire. Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also said that the neighborhood is 40 houses. Like then Imam Zuhri rahmatullah he explained that 40 houses front of you, 40 houses back of you, 40 houses towards right, and 40 houses towards left. So these are all your neighbors. You have to look after them, and you are not to hurt any neighbor, and have to do good deed, and have to do goodness with the neighbors also. In one other hadith, Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if the neighbor who is rich and the other neighbor is poor, then the poor neighbor at the day of judgment so will be before Allah, and that will have a complaint before Allah about that neighbor who was rich. He will say, this person, he has not treated me well, even he was my neighbor, and he was having his door closed for me. He has not opened the door to me. He was not be helpful to me. So this type of situation will be before you. If you are a rich neighbor and your neighbor, other neighbor is poor, you have to look after that person also. You have to look after the needs of that person, help that person to fulfill the needs of that person also. One person, he was having more mice in the house, and those were very strange, like and someone said to him that you have to take the cat in home, and he said, I am unable to take the cat, because if the cat is coming, these mice will move to the neighbor house. I don't want to tease the neighbor. Think now, this person, how his mind was. So he was doing a good job not to tease the neighbor. Even he was under tease himself. So he was not to tease the neighbor, because he was not to bring a cat in home also. Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, do you know what are the rights and responsibilities of you to the neighborhood, what you have? Holy Prophet ﷺ said, if your neighbor need help, you have to help them. If your neighbor they owe money, you have to give money. If your neighbor is poor, you have to help them. If your neighbor is ill, you have to look after them. If your neighbor die, you have to perform funeral, like all funeral ceremony or funeral, you have to go with up to the buries, up to the neighbor is to be buried. So you have to look after funeral help if your neighbor need. And if your neighbor is happy or is doing celebration, you have to congratulate your neighbor, but you have to keep it under Islamic limits. That is very important. So, and if the neighbor is non-Muslim, then you have to congratulate under the Islamic limits. That is very important. You have to look after, because we are, first of all, we are Muslim. We have to look after our boundaries of Islam. Also, we are not to exceed them also. So if your neighbor is in trouble, you have to be helpful to that person, so that to make out of trouble your neighbor. And if you are not allowed to make your wall so much high it can stop the air of your neighbor. So this way, and if you know the faults of your neighbor or flaws of your neighbor, you are not allowed to open, you have to hide them also. This is very important. And if fruit and some other special thing coming in your house, some of that you have to send to the neighbor children also. So this is very important. So this way is, if you cook something in home, you can cook a little bit more and send some of them to the neighbor also. And Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, to Allah, I swear by Allah to whom my life is, and I say, a person is not able to fulfill the rights and responsibilities to the neighbor, but is possible to fulfill if Allah's mercies falling on that person. So we must request Allah with the mercies, so that we can be able to fulfill the responsibilities regarding the neighborhood. Very important. And even from your roof or from your window, you are not allowed to peep in the house of neighbor. And even if your neighbor is to place some wood or something on your roof or some place, you are not to say something, because you can be generous person like this way. And you are not to make dispute with the neighbor. And if you know some flaws or some faults of your neighbor, you are not to open before others, hide them also. So this way, when you talk with the neighbor, talk with good things and which are nice things, not to waste the time talking in backbiting or some type of slandering and some other things like this way. You be careful in this. And you are not allowed to keep your eyes on the women or the girls of your neighbors. So very important. And even the some servants or other people who are opposite sex, you are not to keep your eyes on them. So be careful. And this is neighbor rights and responsibilities. Abu Zar Ghafari Raziallah Ta'ala anhu, he said that Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam advised me that when I am just to cook my food, I have to put some more water, so that I should send some of the food to my neighbor also. And according to Islam, if a neighbor, if you are eating to full, like to make your full, like your how much you need to eat, if you eat fully what is needed, then your neighbor is hungry, then you must be understand that is not lawful for you according to Islam. And Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also, in many things we have got from Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam regarding the neighborhood. And also, when you sometime you can also look at if your neighbor is deserving sadaqah, you are allowed to send sadaqah to him also too. And if your neighbor, sometime you can exchange your gift, it is also good thing to make a relationship more better also. And keep in mind that is a sexual intercourse is totally haram. But if a person who is doing it with the neighbor woman, then that is the biggest sinful act. It is equal to doing the sexual intercourse more than 10 women. Like, so much sinful act is this. Even if you are not allowed to steal the things so from your neighbor, because if you are going to steal something from your neighbor, it is equal to more than stealing the things from 10 houses. So this is too much big, like sinful act, this one. So this way you have to keep in mind. Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also said that a person who is teasing the neighbor, so must understand that will not have the place into paradise, to going into the paradise. So you have to look after the neighbor is very important. Even if you are going in a journey, some people, you are going journey by bus, by train, by plane. So if someone is who sitting with you is coming on the neighbor rights and responsibilities, you have to look after with good manners and deal with your talking, where your activities. You have to not to hurt that person, and not from your tongue, not from your hand, not from your body parts. You have to look after the person who is sitting with you, and you are not to make your faces before that person, not to make a joke, and not to smoke cigarette or something. So this because according to Islam, the smoke will make trouble for the other person, not allowed that one. And even you have to, every time you have to respect and regard, and keep in mind the people who are working. If you are working somewhere, who are co-worker with you, then you have to look after them also. Even student who are going to university, college, or somewhere, the student who are follower or follow students, they are also, you have to look after them also, like they are like a neighbor. So this is the very important. And even in their need, you have to look after every way. So this way, even a person who is on the way you going, say assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam, for the short time you are duration, that time you have to talk with them politely, nicely, and look after them, and keep in mind that something not bad should be coming from you towards that person. So you be a nice, peaceful, and nice person, polite way talk, and make a happy situation, so that we have to keep our eyes every time to look after our neighbors, and go through the rights and responsibilities according to Islam, so that we should have a good face before Allah at the day of judgment. Allah accept us, inshallah.